Here's part 2 of the Q&A that Megan and I did a few weeks ago. Enjoy. How's the public transportation? Do they have taxis and or Ubers?
No Uber here. There's a lot of taxis. Most of them are individually owned or it's a small company with a fleet. Once you find your favorites, you can find them on Google Business. Try them out. If you like them, you just have them saved in your WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You message them when you need a ride.
Yeah, everything's WhatsApp.
They'll be like, okay, I can come at this time and here's the rate.
And there's a bus system in the city and it seems pretty good. We've used it a couple of times. It's very inexpensive. It's 40 lek, which is about, I don't know, 48 cents or something after the conversion. And it just goes through kind of the 2 main streets that are here in Vlorë, and it does the whole main 2 streets and then just loops. You could just pay the 40 lek and just ride it indefinitely. And it seems like there's 2 routes, and one goes to the beach and the other goes to the other side of town. But it's not bad. They're old buses. The drivers can be a little hard on the brakes. I've heard that traffic can be an issue, and sometimes when it's busy in the high season, it's faster to walk. I've heard they can get hot and crowded. So our experience with them has been really limited. But from what I've heard, it's better than nothing. I come from DFW in Texas, where Arlington is the largest city in the country without any kind of public transportation. I lived there for years, so it's nice to just have the option.
There are also buses that go from city to city for pretty cheap, $8 basically, something like that, 8 to 15. But it's really difficult to find information on the bus schedules.
Yeah.
And even if you find the information, it's not necessarily accurate. So it does make planning travel a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
We're about to go to Toronto later this month, and our plan is just to go early in the day and ask around, do some waiting if we have to, because we're not in a hurry to get there.
Yeah, and a big theme that you'll see in these videos and these interviews that I'm doing is like, expect things to go wrong and roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Like with planning a trip like that, we're gonna go early. We're gonna expect that there's probably a bus that we'll miss, and maybe there's not even a bus that we'll be able to catch. In worst case scenario, we're gonna go ahead and get a cab.
Yeah.
Like, we don't wanna do that.
We've had to do that
We've had to
before,
do
yeah.
that. So it's just like, be aware that you need to be flexible with your plans, because it's really hard to make firm commitments based around how circumstances can play out here sometimes. What surprised you in a good or bad way about Albania? Before we came, one of the things that I had heard a lot in several other videos was it would stink. I worked in Dallas a lot. Cities stink. So, I expected it was going to smell bad a little bit sometimes. And yeah, absolutely. Occasionally you walk by something and it's not great. But I was actually surprised at how good it smelled.
Yeah.
There's this really weird and unique characteristic that we smell it over and over again. And we've talked to other people, and it doesn't seem like other people have noticed it as much as we have. But it's just this very unique smell that just, to me, is Albania. And I can open my balcony and step outside and I smell it. When we got off the plane and we just walk around outside, I could smell it. I feel like it just has to be a combination of the different kinds of trees and pollen and stuff that is just this really nice, sweet aroma that is just, I love it. And I didn't have any idea that was going to happen, and I really enjoy that part.
Yeah, you'll go on a walk and you'll smell fresh baked bread from the bakeries.
Yeah.
There'll be perfume shops that, a lot of people wear perfume here in Cologne.
And the perfume smells different than you smell in the US.
It's kind of like an oud, sandalwood, vanilla. It's very musky.
Less chemically.
Yeah, perfume back home used to give me a headache, and I actually really like the smell here.
Yeah.
There's, restaurants with patios, fresh coffee. So there's actually really pleasant smells, especially when it's not winter and there's flowers blooming all over the place. It's a very green city.
What are the downsides of living in Albania? This is another one that's really subjective, and it really just depends on what you want and what Albania can offer. So for us, there's not a whole lot, because there's not really anything that we need that we're not able to get. But if we were in poor health, for example, the healthcare infrastructure here is definitely not what you'd expect on an American level. And that doesn't mean that you can't get good care here, but it might be a little bit more challenging. You might have to travel a little further. We've heard really good things about the hospitals in Toronto, for example, but that's an hour and a half from here.
A lot of people go to neighboring Greece or Italy for healthcare, or Turkey.
Yeah.
I think the utilities are another big thing here, where
the power goes out a couple of times a week. It's usually just a minute or two, or maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the most generally, but that's going to happen, and it's going to happen relatively frequently.
We basically stopped setting the clock on the oven.
Yeah.
it goes out too frequently to have to keep up with that. We've also sometimes had issues where we might lose water for a little bit.
We lost water for a week and we went to another town to get away from, and that was
That
a rare,
was a rare thing.
But I mean, that's the kind of thing that can happen.
It happened.
Technically, this is a
Yeah.
second world country, and so that's the kind of thing that can happen.
That's
The infrastructure is developing.
infrastructure.
There's going to be problems. There's going to be hiccups, and once again, that's kind of one of the reasons the cost of living is as low as it is.
And something to keep in mind too, it can be difficult to find ethnic foods, but we have found some sources for like Asian foods,
Yeah.
Mexican foods.
And then it'll be expensive.
Yeah,
because they're all imported.
Often apartments will not have a microwave or a dryer.
We haven't had a microwave since we've been here. We're okay with it.
It's been okay. I was kind of worried about it, but you adapt, and honestly, it's probably healthier, and the food tastes better.
And I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to don't have microwaves either.
Yeah.
And we don't have a dryer for our clothes.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. And that's common here. You know, you have a clothes rack in your apartment on your balcony, and when it's cold or wet, you bring it in and it's in your living room or your kitchen. You know, and
Yeah.
that's just how the lifestyle works here. And I mean, that works for us and we like that. But it's not going to be for everybody. And so that, if that sounds like a nightmare, then maybe, you know, Albania is not the place for you. But once again, there's lots of places and there's lots of different ways to live. And so that's kind of the point, is you think outside the box and just see what works.
It's kind of nice to experience another way of life.
Exactly.
And keep yourself flexible and adaptable instead of getting stuck in your rut.
Yeah. Does Albania get severe weather, any crazy natural disasters? So literally almost got blown off my feet from from a storm. The wind was so strong, I didn't know that was possible. I mean, I weigh over 200 pounds and I'm walking down the street, and I mean, at first it's like, oh wow, that's kind of funny. And then I'm leaning into it. Within seconds, I'm thinking, I think I'm about to get blown off my feet. So first time that's ever happened, opened the possibility in my mind that maybe the wind will blow you down, be careful. And literally a woman got blown off her bike, and she did not survive. She hit her head, and that was that. So
It was that same day.
same day. There have been some storms here, and they're nothing like, it's not like a storm that I've never seen. It's not like the scariest storm of my life, but they've been pretty bad, especially if you're higher up. You can look kind of scary looking from a high patio or balcony. But
We come from tornado country,
exactly.
so
Yeah, so it's I mean, from what we've seen, it's like, yeah, it's not great. I wouldn't want to walk in it, but I don't feel like the building's going to come down around me. Now, that said, about 5 or 6 years ago, apparently, there was a really bad earthquake here. I've never been in an earthquake. I don't know how I will react if one happens while we are here. So it's something we want to try and think about and prepare for. And we've talked about it, like in a doorway. What else do you do?
But most of the buildings here are constructed with like blocks and cement.
Yeah,
and
the building construction seems solid.
Yeah,
Like
we're,
we don't hear anything.
Yeah,
you knock
our
on those
neighbors are
walls.
quiet.
Yeah, it's great.
We're used to in Texas, you know, like the timber frame.
Yeah.
Where it's just, you know,
Feels like the walls are made out of paper.
studs and, you know, got like cardboard house wrap
Yeah.
and a brick shell that's not actually structural. So it's
Right.
very different here.
Yeah, so I don't feel like the buildings are unsafe. If we were to experience an earthquake, I'm pretty confident that the building would be okay. You know, famous last words, right? But so far, so good. How's the air quality? Is it clean? So it's funny, this question comes up now because I was just taking a walk yesterday and I was walking down one of the main strips, and it actually looked like I could see a little bit of pollution down the street. Generally, that hasn't been an issue. It seems like the air quality is pretty good here. There's a lot of traffic, but one of the main strips here in Vlorë is 2 lanes. It's one in and one out, and so it's like can only be so many cars.
Yeah.
So there's the other busier street on the outskirts, the Transbalkanika, right? That one's 2 lanes each way, and that was where I saw what looked like it might have been some smog. But for the most part, the air quality has seemed pretty good. That's just my subjective perception. I haven't really been watching it, so I don't know if that's true. As far as the cleanliness, the culture around here doesn't really seem to be too concerned about littering. So you see a lot of people, they will just very thoughtlessly, they don't care, you know, maybe they'll open a pack of cigarettes and they'll throw the cellophane on the ground and not care. It's a pretty common thing to see. I know that the government is working to change that. They're installing trash cans, and they're trying to change the culture's perception about trash and littering and responsibility about it. So hopefully it's going to get cleaner, but you will absolutely hear people complaining about the trash, and there's definitely trash in some places. To me, it's fine. I'm not sweating it, but it's something to consider if it's going to bother you. And it's also the worst in the places that aren't the most frequented. Like the tourist areas that are the most traffic, it's really, really clean.
And it used to bother me more when we first got here,
Yeah.
and at this point, I'm just kind of used to it.
Yeah, I mean,
I will say too, with like smog and pollution and all
Yeah.
of that, most of the streets are tree lined. And
Yeah.
I think that does a lot in terms of
suck
like
up that smog.
filtering a lot of the air. So there's
Yeah.
less cars, more trees, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. How do we deal with daily water needs? Now, this is a question that's relevant because we were told before we came that the tap water is not safe. There's supposed to now be like a modern water filtration system, and the tap water is, for the most part, supposed to be safe to drink. But that said, there's hiccups and disruptions in it all the time. And if there, for any reason the water gets disconnected or shut off, then it's just switched over to these tanks that sit on the roofs of all these buildings. And that water is absolutely not safe to drink. My friend Tony from Narrowgate and Cafe 1912, he told me a story of going out to his roof and looking around because his apartment is at the very top of the building, and he saw his water tank and there were no lids on that water tank.
There's leaves floating around.
That's coming through his faucet when the water gets turned off. You don't want to drink that, you know? So we buy water, bottled water, and I just get big gallon jugs, and 2 or 3 times a week I'll just go to there's a corner store in our building. So I mean, literally I go down some stairs and I'm at a store where I can buy whatever I need in a pinch, you know.
It's more than a gallon. They're like.
And I buy 2 of them. I mean, when I come back, it's like 3 or 4 gallons probably, because it's several bottles in both hands, you know. So I try and do as much as I can to limit that trip, but that's how we deal with it. There's other people that have gotten like filtration systems.
Yeah, I was gonna say that water is for drinking
right.
and cooking, showering, washing the dishes, all of that. Fine,
All
use
great.
the tap water.
Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, we've thought about getting a filtration system just
Yeah.
because it would save hauling. I think over
Eventually
time
it would
it
save
does
us money.
save money.
Eventually
yeah.
it would, definitely. And
So
they're a
we
lot
might do
cheaper
that.
here. Like I've talked to people that have gotten them as low for a few $100s for like a reverse osmosis machine here, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think about compared to what they'll charge you in the US for that.
We should probably do that.
Eventually,
Yeah.
I definitely want, absolutely. I mean, I'm the one that carries the water. Yeah, believe me.
When he hurt his back, I was having to do it. And
It was happening more frequently, we'll say. She wasn't coming back with 4 bottles at a time for that period.
having to like carry it with both hands. Like, yeah, they're heavy.
How are women treated here?
I will say that I feel very safe just walking the streets by myself. Men here, they'll look, but they don't catcall, they don't get in your space. If you make it clear you're not interested, they back off. So I never feel hassled, I never feel unsafe. It is a very patriarchal society. I think sometimes there is kind of an expectation like the man is the one who takes the trash out, and like maybe the man is the one who orders for both of you, and the waiter's looking at him to, like order everything, and they're surprised when I order for myself. But, for the most part, I do feel respected, and I don't ever feel bothered or hassled.
We try and be pretty equitable with the chore distribution when we can be. So sometimes like we'll be going somewhere together and we'll both carry trash, and it seems like
or we'll both carry groceries.
The groceries, specifically, it's just like it seems like there's an attitude that maybe I'm being disrespectful having my wife carry trash to the dumpster. So occasionally we'll both have like a bag of trash, and it feels like by Albanian standards, I'm being a poor husband. I should be carrying.
You treat
the
your
trash.
wife like a princess.
Right. So I try and be mindful of that. She's sweet to let me mistreat her, I suppose.
We may both be carrying a bag of trash, but you will also do dishes and do laundry. And that's something a lot of Albanian men do not do. So I'm okay with carrying a trash bag now and then.
I'm not upset that you carry the trash, and I appreciate you doing it. I don't think less of myself for letting you.
No.
So yeah, I'm glad that feels like it's reciprocal. And and those Albanian guys, they're not watching me do the dishes, but they probably would think I'm emasculating myself for doing that. So it goes. I just like to have the dishes done and have the trash taken out, and I don't care how it happens.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, exactly. If you like that, hang out and watch this one.